Have you ever felt a prickle crawl down your spine as you shuffle your deck? A sense that unseen eyes watch your every move? Then prepare to face your fears, trainers, because a chilling new presence has descended upon the Pokemon trading card game, Dusknoir from the Shrouded Fable set. This spectral Stage 2 Ghost-type Pokemon isn't here to play nice, it's here to dominate the battlefield and steal your sweetest dreams. The mere presence of a Dusknoir card in your deck is enough to send shivers down your opponent's spine. Imagine the mind games, the strategic possibilities are endless. Will you unleash Dusknoir's power early, disrupting your opponent's strategy from the get-go? Or will you hold it back, a shadowy ace up your sleeve to be unleashed at the perfect moment, crushing their hopes and dreams in a single devastating blow? However, the power of Dusknoir comes at a heavy cost. Giving up a prize card on purpose can be harmful in some situations, but it also opens up a lot of possibilities with cards such as Counter Catcher, Roxanne, or even Luxray and Reversal Energy. This isn't just a new card, trainers, this is a gateway to a darker dimension of the Pokemon TCG, a place where the line between being ahead or being behind is blurred, and you will now have to account for both as soon as you see a Duskull hit the field of play. And so, in this video we will go over why the new Dusknoir line is so good, which decks will benefit most from it, a brand new archetype that seems to have potential, and finish off with a little bit of history on other powerful Dusknoir cards from other eras of the Pokemon TCG. Both Dusclops and Dusknoir have the Curse Bomb ability, which allows you to knock out either Dusclops or Dusknoir itself once per turn to place damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Dusclops places 5 damage counters, while the harder to evolve Dusknoir places 13, a much more threatening amount. Of course, you might be thinking that giving up a prize card might not be the best idea, as that's how your opponent can win. But there are many situations where the downside of giving up a prize card is more than made up for by powerful effects such as Counter Catcher or even Roxanne. In the past, we have seen these sort of strategies be very effective both in standard and expanded, with cards like Milotic, Mismagius and Magneton all working well in various decks. By allowing you to have some sort of control over both your and your opponent's prize mapping, you can create alternate win conditions that would otherwise not have been possible. And this is just talking about giving up your prize card. The damage counter placement from Dusclops is powerful, but there aren't any more 50 HP Pidgey flying around anymore, so it's just 1 or 2 damage counters short from being outright broken. However, Dusknoir placing 13 damage counters is actually incredibly significant. This can KO most basic and stage 1 Pokemon out there, and thus you can end up taking 2 prizes in a single turn, something that becomes incredibly dangerous and can dismantle a lot of decks almost immediately. Imagine yourself KOing a bench Kirlia with Curse Bomb and then using Counter Catcher to KO another one in the same turn, or double Charmander, or double Pidgey, or double Dreepy. That certainly seems worth giving up a prize, right? These are the sort of plays you'll be able to make with Dusclops, alongside of course simply boosting whatever damage output you would to the active Pokemon. I don't think it's a coincidence that you can use Dusknoir's Curse Bomb to place 13 damage counters on a Charizard EX and then use Phantom Dive to immediately KO it. That is just one of many examples where being able to place damage counters wherever you need them as a bonus during your turn can be game changing, and will make the games we play even more dynamic and perhaps a tad bit faster too. If you have enjoyed the video so far and found the information useful, please consider becoming a tablemon channel member through the join button down below. For as low as $1.99 a month, you can help support the creation of these videos. Now, let's take a look at some of the decks that will be taking advantage of the Curse Bomb ability. Dusclops and Dusknoir have already started terrorizing the metagame in Japan, with both Charizard EX and Dragapult EX including yet another Stage 2 line. I don't think anyone had triple Stage 2 decks being viable, let alone contenders to best deck in the format on their bingo cards, but here we are. This is an example of a Charizard EX deck that runs a 2-1-1 Dusknoir line. Having one Duskull down means your opponent needs to be aware of the threat, and thus, by playing 2 instead of 1, we reduce the chances of prizing affecting our strategy, and also we will naturally draw into 1 more often, allowing us to use our Buddy Puffins for the other essential Pokemon such as Charmander and Pidgey. One simple Curse Bomb from Dusclops can bolster Charizard EX's Burning Darkness damage by 30, as you give your opponent a prize card, and combined with Defiance Band, you can get to the magical 240 numbers, which covers all basic V and EX Pokemon out there. Not to mention, you could even use the 5 or 13 damage counters as a boost to whatever damage you're doing to the active at any given moment, possibly taking down a Pidgeot EX or opposing Charizard EX in one hit. The 2-1-1 line also allows for the potential of double Dusclops turns, by using Cursed Bomb, then immediately shuffling back the Dusclops with Super Rod and grabbing back the Dusclops again. That's 100 extra damage out of nowhere, but it does come at the hefty cost of 2 prize cards. It's also possible to do a Dusclops plus Dusknoir turn for 18 extra damage counters, or if you're extremely greedy with your rare candy, a double Dusknoir play for 26 extra damage counters in a single turn. This seems like a stretch of resources, but it is still an option you have if you choose to run a 2-1-1 line over a 1-1-1 line. Of course, including a whole other stage 2 in your Charizard EX deck means something has to be cut, and in this case we have no Vibra line, replaced now by the brand new Pheasantipity EX, another amazingly powerful card from Shrouded Fable which helps us in drawing 3 cards with its ability every time our opponent has taken a KO, as well as no Cleffa and other important cards like Palpat or Enhanced Hammer. Other than that, this is as standard as it gets for the Charizard EX core that has been the norm since rotation and EUIC took place, and we entered that 2-month period of absolute Charizard EX dominance. It will really be up to you to determine what gets cut and what sort of text you need to cover for your local metagame or at the World Championships, which is when we will first see these cards show up in competitive play. The other main deck that I have seen utilize Dusknoir effectively is Dragapult EX, and it should be no surprise to anyone that a deck focusing on spreading damage counters to the bench can in fact take advantage of such a good ability to place damage counters wherever you need them as well. This Dragapult EX list features a very similar core to Charizard EX lists, except when you use Cursed Bomb and attack with Dragapult EX, you are placing the 5 or 13 damage counters from the ability plus 6 more for Dragapult EX. These you can place anywhere, so you have more control over where or how to take advantage of these, as with Charizard EX sometimes some of these can end up being wasted. This boost in damage counters really helps Dragapult EX apply even more pressure to the bench, something it sometimes lacks, as 6 damage counters to the bench are great, but fall a bit short to really be very menacing. And with this damage counter manipulation, you also get the bonus of potentially activating Counter Catcher to target down a different Pokemon to make your damage output as efficient as possible, as well as having a stronger disruptive turn when combined with Iono. Once again, having this Dusknoir line takes up space of other techie cards such as Radiant Alakazam or Hawlucha, both of which are also meant to help boost the threat to bench Pokemon with Phantom Dive, but Cursed Bomb is a much more threatening way to boost it. Besides that, this is as standard as it gets with a Dragapult EX build, and while Dragapult EX didn't enjoy much success at NEIC, which was the first tournament it was legal in, the World Championships might be the perfect stage for Dragapult EX to start making a name for itself in the format and cement itself as a top deck. Another deck trying to get the most use out of Cursed Bombs is actually Lost Box. As with Lost City, you can send Dusclops to the Lost Zone instead of the discard pile, allowing you to build your Lost Zone count extremely fast and get to 10, so you can then Lost Mine with Sableye, adding on 12 damage counters to however many you end up placing with Dusclops to potentially wipe your opponent's board completely clean. This powerful combination might have been part of the reasons why Kyurem was printed to try and keep Lost Zone decks in check. 12 damage counters from Sableye's Lost Mine has always been extremely powerful, and when all of a sudden it becomes 17 or even 22, that's a lot of KO'd Pokemon at the cost of a few prize cards. Not too bad of a trade-off if you ask me. One other interesting deck which showcases the versatility and power of the new Dusknoir line is this deck based on using Cursed Bomb a lot, and taking advantage of being behind in prizes with pretty much all the best cards for that in the standard format. Luxray can be put into play if you're behind in prizes, and it's a powerful single prize Pokemon that does a lot of damage with Reversal Energy. Yet another card that only works when being behind in prizes. Between Luxray, Counter Catcher, Reversal Energy and Roxanne, you will be able to dish out a lot of damage, likely take extra prizes with a very thick 4-4-2 line of Dusknoir and target the right Pokemon. And to top things off, you can even purposely bring down your opponent to 1 prize card to your 2, so that you can win the game by using Slowbro's Twilight Inspiration. Rounding things out is a neutral center stadium, which can potentially help in getting free turns by preventing all damage to all your non-rulebox Pokemon. Coincidentally, every single Pokemon we play in this deck. While you won't be able to threaten any damage if you're ahead or even in prizes, this could buy you time to set up enough Dusclops or Dusknoir to pull off an amazing game-winning turn. I haven't personally tried these two new decks, Aggro Luxray and Cursed Sableye, but they're for sure on my to-do list to see how strong and viable they actually are in the lead up to the World Championships. Shrouded Fable Duskclubs and Dusknoir joined the club of powerful and interesting Dusknoir cards that have been viable throughout the years. The first one being the very first Dusknoir released in the Diamond and Pearl set with the Pokepower Dark Palm, which allowed you to choose a Pokemon from your opponent's bench and shuffle it back and all cards attached to it into their deck as long as they had 4 or more benched Pokemon. This card was a common 1/1 tech card in many decks, and it actually placed second at the 2010 World Championships in Michael Pramovich's God of War Gallade deck. The next powerful Dusknoir was released in Boundaries Crossed, with the ability Sinister Hand, which allowed you to move damage counters from your opponent's Pokemon in any way you wanted. This was used in many ways, but primarily with Excelgar as a way to paralyze and poison an opponent's active and make sure you decided when it was time for it to be KO'd and when you wanted to keep it trapped in the active paralyzed, whilst you sent all that damage to take down benched Pokemon. And finally, Trevenant and Dusknoir GX was so powerful and expanded when combined with Milotic that it got Milotic outright banned from the format. You could use Milotic Sparkling Ripples to power it up in one turn, and then, since you were behind in prices, you could Ace Trainer your opponent's hand down to 3 cards and finish off the combo with a Night Watch attack, putting down your opponent to a single card in their hand after only 1 turn for them. Fun history fact, I was the first to pilot and have success with such a strategy back at Dallas Regionals in December of 2019, and had it not been for some lucky top decks from my opponent in our top 8 match, I could have easily gone on to win the whole event. In conclusion, Dusknoir stands out as a revolutionary addition to the Pokemon trading card game. Its Cursed Bomb ability offers a strategic depth unseen for a long time in the standard format, creating thrilling comeback mechanics and rewarding skilled deck construction. Whether you prefer a slow and methodical approach or a high-risk, high-reward gamble, Dusknoir has the potential to be the centerpiece of your winning strategy. So get ready, trainers, because with Dusknoir by your side, the path to victory has never been more exciting. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay.